It's pretty clear that the hype is fizzled in large part from investors. A lot of these stocks haven't done very well this year. And we saw the ouster of Bruce Linton over at Canopy amid concerns about their lack of profitability. So right now, what is the view on the quality of the business in Canada and their ability to turn a profit?
Thanks, Joe. Well, I mean, everyone said 2019 was going to be the year that the industry experienced a shakeout, and I think we're starting to see the beginnings of that. As you said, the firing of Bruce Linton at Canopy was a real wake-up call to investors that the original founders aren't going to get a free ride anymore. There is tremendous pressure on these companies that's growing by the day to start turning a profit. And, you know, in Canada, that's been pretty elusive. There have been 2 or 3 companies, only maybe one big one, Organigram, that have managed to post positive EBITDA, but most of the rest are losing large sums of money. I mean, Canopy lost, I think it was $323 million Canadian in the last quarter. So there's a lot of pressure, but not a lot of performance yet. And the question is, can these companies get to profitability by the end of this year? And for the most part, analysts seem to be saying no.
Kristine, if the Canadian market is mature, as we heard from, I think, a former CEO of Canopy Growth, and they are all looking to the U.S. for future growth opportunities, have any of these companies done a risk analysis of what happens if federal legalization in the U.S. does not happen?
That's a great question. I think, you know, a lot of them are banking on that and are starting to find indirect ways into the U.S. through the hemp-derived CBD market, for example, as kind of getting a toehold in the door in the hopes that if legalization happens, they will now have a presence that they can build off of. But no, I mean, I don't get the sense that a lot of these companies have done a real risk analysis of what happens if U.S. legalization doesn't happen. I would dispute the comment that the Canadian market is mature, though. I mean, we're just getting to the point coming in December when we're going to have things like edibles, beverages, vape pens available for sale. Right now, it's still basically limited to dried flower. And there still isn't much of a retail store presence in a lot of major provinces, including Ontario, which only has, I think, 23 stores open in a province that is the largest and most populous in Canada. So, you know, there's a lot of growth potential still coming in Canada, but I think the question is whether we all need to revise our expectations downward a little bit for what a mature Canadian market will look like.
So outside of the Canadian market, you have the U.S. market. We've talked about that. What about Europe? That was also supposed to be sort of trending in favor of the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I was actually just speaking to an executive who said, again, it might be time to revise our expectations a little bit lower on the international opportunity, too, because a lot of these Canadian companies said, sure, we can't really enter the U.S. yet, and yes, Canada's a small market, but we'll build up our presence in Europe and Latin America and Australia, and we'll have this big global presence that we can use to kind of assert our global dominance. But a lot of those countries, with a couple of exceptions, are moving very, very slowly towards legalization. The markets are still tiny. That may stay that way for several years to come. And so, you know, while down the road there may be opportunity in these markets, they're certainly not going to be profit generators anytime soon.